これ管理職が交代で来てる。管理職が交代で来てる。
いや、私は管理職じゃないんで、そこ使っちゃう。
管理職みたいですね。
もうほぼVIP とかいろいろ非公開のやつの本部長やってて、であとはデリゲーションとかの対応とか他の方がやってて、私はもっぱら一般のこういうフォーラムとかに行って。ビジネス関係で調査部と連携して調査部が書いてくれるのは私はいたないんです。
ああ、そうなってんだ。各仕事もあるわけ。
私はメインで各仕事を
ご一緒しますよ。
調査部がやってくださるんだったら私はもうちょっと違う例えばやっぱ万博とビジネスの切り口なんで、このビジネスをどう万博を活用してやっていくのかみたいな、そういうところにちょっと今後は情報発信を。なるほど。まだまだ大阪の人は割となんか海外からデリゲーションが来てるっていうのがものすごいビジネスの機会だっていうのが徐々に浸透してきてますけど、他の地域っていうのはまだ全然なんかないんで、それをちょっともう2ヶ月経っちゃいましたけど、これから機会をやっていきたいなと。そうですね。それは調査部にもかなり周波は調査はちょっとだんだん温まってきたんですけど、僕はですね、はい。
Sorry, I meant Jetro.
Ah, yes, yes.
Is your
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. I'm Commissioner General of Eswatini. Yes, wonderful to meet you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Nice to meet you. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Likewise. Thank you for coming to introduce you to the Prime Minister when he comes. Thank you.
Yes, I believe so. Still only.
Until we are ready and everybody's seated. So what's going to happen is that I'm going to ask the MC to probably announce what I'm talking about. When he walks in, we ask everyone to stand up. And when he comes and he's taking a seat, everybody will stand up. And then we start.
Once we had our guests
So for now, we want everybody to be seated. And I'm here. Because I don't see the other guy ask to go and see them. So it's fine. I'll Seven senses. menurut Pak Bang Bakal masyarakat pendapat minister so whatever yes muy sen ma sen ma baka baik ya minister yes assistant Şu susudan insana. Yes. Yeah. She looks tired, huh? No, you don't. Seven. So come and let's look at your program so you can see what he does. I wish that it was here because she came and asked a couple things in my Oh, thank you. So, yes, that's one. So, you remember?
Good morning. Yes, this way, please.
Everyone else who's here must now sit down.
Good morning. Good morning. Oh yes, yes. Last time was Bella Udemas was still Lana Council Security and Command as spouse, so we're going to leave them. And after that, from the panel airport before. You can sit anywhere, just read it from there. Sesto Plaza just now. You can just go last. So now ngifaka la ngaphansi ngendlela lana on the screen on the camera. Yes, not much. Everyone is inside.
Thank you very much for visiting Expo 2025 Osaka, Kansai. Eswatini will host Eswatini is Open for Business program. Please wait a moment until the event begins. 本日はエキスポ2025大阪・関西万博へお越しいただき誠にありがとうございます。この後、エスワティニによる Eswatini is Open for Business program を行います。開演までしばらくお待ちください。
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. If we could please take our seats so that we can start the program. Thank you.
arriving. May I ask all of you to rise to greet His Excellency. 首相が来場されましたので、皆様恐れ入りますが、ご起立願います。Please take your seats. ご着席ください。Ambassador Melsi Masuku from Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade. Please come to the stage and make your remarks. 通称産業・貿易省よりお越しのメルシー・マスク大使、どうぞご登壇いただき、ご挨拶をお願いいたします。
Thank you, Program Director. Good morning, everyone. Your Excellency, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, Cabinet Ministers that are here, members of both Houses of Parliament, His Excellency, the High Commissioner of the Kingdom of Eswatini in Malaysia, who is concurrently accredited to Japan, Eswatini Commissioner General, Chairman of the Board of Directors, IPA, senior government officials from Japan, senior government officials from Eswatini, captains of industry that are here with us, the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Good morning once again. I extend a very warm welcome to all of you this morning as we gather for this landmark occasion, which is the 2025 edition of the World Expo here in the vibrant and beautiful city of Osaka, Japan. We are truly humbled by the hospitality extended to us by the government and people of Japan since our arrival. Your Excellency, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, distinguished
首相閣下、通称産業・貿易大臣閣下、日本政府関係者の皆様、外交団、政府高官、官民各団体代表者、産業界のリーダー、ご来賓、メディア関係者、ご列席の皆様、おはようございます。本日、この美しく活気ある都市、大阪において、2025年、日本国際博覧会という歴史的な場にお集まりいただき、皆様を温かくお迎えできますことを大変光栄に思います。日本政府によるエスワティニ王国への歓待に心から身の引き締まる思いです。
Your Excellency, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to also express our sincere gratitude and appreciation for this remarkable opportunity to showcase Eswatini's economic potential on such a prestigious international platform. The World Expo is not only a celebration of innovation and global cooperation, but also a powerful reminder of the importance of partnerships in shaping a sustainable future.
首相閣下、ご来賓の皆様、ご列席の皆様、このような名誉ある国際的な場で、エスワティニの経済的潜在力を紹介する貴重な機会をいただき、心より感謝申し上げます。万国博覧会は、イノベーションと国際協力の祭典であるだけでなく、持続可能な未来を形作る上でのパートナーシップの重要性を強く印象づけるものでもあります。
The relationship between the Kingdom of Eswatini and Japan spans many decades and remains a treasured partnership built on mutual respect, cooperation, and shared values. We remain steadfast in our commitment to deepening this relationship and exploring new avenues of collaboration, particularly in trade, investment, innovation, tourism, and sustainable development.
エスワティニと日本の関係は何十年にもわたり相互尊重、協力、価値観の共有の上に築かれた大切なパートナーシップであり続けています。私たちはこの関係をさらに深め、特に貿易、投資、イノベーション、持続可能な開発において新たな協力の道を探るという約束を揺るぎないものとしています。
Ladies and gentlemen, this business forum could not have come at a more opportune time than now. The Kingdom recently inaugurated its first investment conference, which drew participation from beyond our borders, with one resounding simple message: Eswatini is open for business. Our being here is to build upon that momentum, upon the momentum already achieved at the conference by bringing it to a global stage. Your presence here this morning makes this day a special one to us. We have therefore lined up a series of presentations and speeches headlined by His Excellency the Right Honourable Prime Minister that will highlight the Kingdom's commitment to working with you in all sectors on offer in Eswatini. Finally, may I urge each one of you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the next few hours with Eswatini, Japan. And with those few remarks, may I thank you all for your kind attention.
ご列席の皆様、本日はエスワティニのナショナルデーです。このナショナルデーイベントでは、エスワティニの豊かな文化遺産、投資機会、国民性を世界の舞台で紹介いたします。エスワティニのパビリオンは、Our history defines our future society。私たちの歴史が未来の社会を形作るをテーマに、近代的な発展を受け入れながら、伝統を守るエスワティニの取り組みを紹介いたします。この祭典では、カルチャーパフォーマンス、ビジネスセミナー、展示会などが行われ、国際貿易と観光におけるエスワティニの存在感を高めます。今回の参加は、万博のテーマである命輝く未来社会のデザインに沿ったものであり、グローバルな協力と持続可能な開発を促進するものです。ありがとうございます。
Thank you, Ambassador Masudu, for the opening remarks, and thank you for setting the tone. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Vulinde Labunene. I'm the Undersecretary of Political Affairs in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I'll be co-emceeing today. Thank you, Ambassador, for setting the tone and reaffirming the message that Eswatini is open for business and remarking on the recently held investment conference. At this juncture, we'd like to invite you for a short video on Eswatini to show you some of what we have to offer as a kingdom. So let's immerse ourselves in Eswatini's vibrant potential, and please turn your screens, your eyes to the screen for a short video called Doing Business in Eswatini Opportunities. And it highlights the kingdom's 7.9% projected economic growth in 2025, which we're very happy for, and our investor-friendly reforms. I thank you.
The Kingdom of Eswatini, formerly known as Swaziland, is open for business. The country's economy is driven by the private sector, and this has repositioned Eswatini as a unique and ideal place for trade and investment. APA offers pre- and post-investment services and advocacy. To fast-track Eswatini's competitiveness in the global arena, the nation is implementing effective policies that will transform the trade and investment climate and turn growth from small steps to giant leaps. Although Eswatini is perceived as a small market, through regional integration, we have become a significant and active trade pivot. We have access to several preferential markets such as SACU, SADC, COMESA, EU, EFTA, AFCFTA, Ministerial, Taiwan Eswatini ECA, and AGOA. Our advancing infrastructure will accelerate the growth of your next investment opportunity. Eswatini caters for various industries like agriculture, which has traditionally been the backbone of our economy, mining and energy, education, ICT, manufacturing, tourism, and many more. To reduce the cost of doing business, the nation's government has set in place special incentives for investors, such as development approval orders, initial allowances, repatriation of profits. With all the right mechanisms in place, Eswatini has special economic zones to bolster economic development so you can hit the ground running at 0% corporate tax for 20 years. The country also has a high literacy rate, with a population that has abundant skills as well as an educated and trainable workforce. Eswatini boasts one of the richest cultures in the world and is renowned for its unique traditional cultural dances and events. These beautiful and colorful events are so attractive that tourists from around the world flock to the kingdom yearly. We are also the hub for many healthy foods and traditional cuisines. A special country to live in with low crime rates and a low incidence of deadly diseases. All these positive factors epitomize Eswatini's health and safety climate. Choose Eswatini to grow your business today. For more information on how you can access opportunities to grow your business, contact the Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority.
Thank you for that short but powerful glimpse into Eswatini's potential. From our strategic position as an entry point into all the markets that have been listed below, we offer plenty of opportunities. To dive deeper into these opportunities for sourcing, supplying, and investing, we turn to our leader in driving Eswatini's economic transformation. Please welcome the Chief Executive Officer of APA, who also happens to be the Commissioner General for Eswatini's bid, Mr. Spalingone Zulu. I thank you.
Your Excellency, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Ministers, members from both Houses of Parliament, senior government officials, distinguished guests. Mine is to just take us through a brief presentation around what Eswatini has to offer and to whet your appetite as Japanese companies to invest and to trade in Africa from Eswatini, which is our key message. Following my brief presentation, we're going to request the Honorable Minister for Commerce, Industry and Trade, who's really the champion of trade and investment initiatives in Eswatini, entrepreneurship, industrialization, which are values that are core to our participation at Expo 2025. We're going to ask him to come and say a few words. So let's take it away. We're going to speak to you about why you should consider positioning yourself or locating yourself in Eswatini in order to do business on the continent. We're going to speak to some of our priority sectors in the kingdom. We are going to mention some of the companies that operate in the Kingdom of Eswatini, global brands. We're also going to speak about the incentives and the support you'll receive from government once you've made your investment decision. Thank you. We are a stable state. We know that in Africa, there are many places where there are, there's conflict happening in a number of areas. We have a rich cultural heritage, we have a stable environment, we have an educated and literate workforce. The government is accessible and they drive issues of trade and investment really from the center at the level of the Prime Minister and our cabinet. And we also offer wider access in terms of access to preferential markets that are tariff-free or very low tariffs from Eswatini. So we really support businesses from the kingdom. The next slide. We trade with Japan, and currently there are the statistics in terms of our trade volumes with Japan, which currently are weighted in favor of, as you can see, food and canned products. And the key issue here that we need to consider is that we have an opportunity to increase our trade with Japan on the product lines around ethanol. There is demand from this part of the world around timber as well as sugar, areas where we consider ourselves as a leader in Africa. So we are speaking to the size of the Japanese economy, which is an attraction to us. When you consider our own market in Eswatini, you may look at our population size and consider us a small population, but we are really speaking of the Africa continental free trade opportunity for Japanese companies. So what that is speaking to, we'll go into a bit later, but you need to consider Africa as a single tariff-free market in terms of the Africa continental opportunity. So our interest is really in enhancing and growing our trade with you as Eswatini. We put up the slide which shows the opportunities or the areas in which you can invest in Eswatini. And if you consider going anti-clockwise from forestry, probably being the least complex industry, you move into fishing, into crops, all the way up to your electrical equipment. You've really moved up the value chain as well as in terms of complexity of industry. And when you look at the blue charts in the graph, it's showing us that where there's blue, there's been growth over the last number of years, and those are the sectors where we currently have investment. The areas in white show what the investment opportunity is. And the slide is telling us that even in sectors like wood, which you'll see, like beverages, crops, we still have an opportunity for investment to enhance and increase the investment in those sectors. And those where there's very little representation or it's completely white, it's showing that there's currently no investor in that sector in the kingdom. So there's an opportunity for you to trade from Eswatini and enhance your business in these sectors. So we think this presents an exciting opportunity to come to the kingdom and consider doing your business from Eswatini. And you'll hear later from some of the companies that are based in Eswatini around how they've been able to grow and remain in Eswatini as the preferred investment location. Our priority sectors include the ones that are listed there: tourism, ICT and education, energy and mining, agriculture, as well as manufacturing and agro-processing. We have an appetite to grow in these sectors, and we are calling on Japanese organizations and companies in Asia to consider operating from Eswatini in these sectors. I mentioned earlier the AfCFTA market. What that is the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. What this represents is 54 countries in Africa consolidated into a single tariff-free market. We have 1.3 billion people on the continent, and it's exciting because that's telling you that the market of $3.4 trillion is available to exploit. What are some of the key sectors that Africa has identified as ripe for investment? When you look at the automotive sector, Africa requires 2.4 million vehicles a year. That's annual. So if you're going to come and bring vehicle manufacturing, which currently happens largely in two countries that export about 80% of the vehicle products, in Morocco and South Africa, and then you're talking an opportunity of 300,000 commercial vehicles. And that is estimated to grow as a market from about $30 billion traveled, all the way up to 42 billion by 2027. So there's really appetite around the automotive sector. Pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals is an opportunity when you look at the 54 countries to pool your procurement and to reduce the cost of medicines in Africa. But for you as investors, we are saying it's a population that really has an appetite to see domestic production of vaccines and medicine for the continent. That is what will secure your preferred status as a supplier to the African countries. We are really enhancing this domestic drive to produce medicines on the continent. We saw during COVID the difficulty of being able to access medicines that are imported externally. So we encourage that. And Africa is still a developing region. So the opportunity for transport, logistics, infrastructure, the food demand, all very attractive sectors. So we encourage you to really explore those opportunities. When you speak Eswatini specifically, we currently are importing stationery to the value of $50 million a year. We don't have a local producer, we're importing this. Go to the next slide. You'll see that polymers and containers, products that are used daily in Eswatini, we are currently importing those to the value of $3 million a year, $30 million US dollars. Electrical and cable products and components, we're currently importing in that area as well. I've spoken about healthcare and the need for us to also produce domestically, as well as sweets. Eswatini has raw materials available in the form of sugar. We want to move up the value chain. You saw agro-processing as an area where we are keen on growing our footprint. The African demand for sweets is huge. And again, Eswatini, when you speak to our export potential, the reason investors consider locating in Eswatini as opposed to some of the bigger neighboring countries is because we have a greater access to tariff-free markets than our neighbors do by virtue of the agreements we have with SADC, SACU, COMESA. All these are regional trading bodies. You move over to the relationship we have with Taiwan. You consider Mercosur in South America. You consider the EU. We really have greater access to those tariff-free markets than our neighbors. So again, this is a no-brainer to us. Food and beverages, the demand on the continent for food is very high, and we obviously want to move up the value chain in terms of, rather than exporting our timber, our sugar raw, we want to produce and supply the continent. I mentioned earlier the issue of automotive and parts production, that largely these industries, the developed countries on the continent largely are your Morocco and your Africa. With Algeria now coming in as a third, they produce about 80% of the vehicles that come out of Africa for export. But we as Eswatini are keen as well in terms of playing in this value chain through parts and components. There are many Japanese companies on the continent selling their vehicles and currently sourcing parts and components either through export or producing them in one of the countries I've mentioned. The demand is high, but when you consider a country from where you could produce some of these parts and components, and I'll speak later to some of the government support and benefits that are available, we are strongly positioning Eswatini as having an appetite to grow in this sector. When you consider an investment that speaks to the Sustainable Development Goals, which talks to youth employment, it talks to youth, women being employed, it talks to growth of crops, it speaks to tourism, which is a sector you'll be hearing about shortly from our minister, speaking to opportunities in that area. The Mkonto Wavuma project, where there's a dam, and from that dam we're going to grow commercial crops, and we are going to develop an eco-city, and we're going to develop infrastructure. When potential investors look at this opportunity, this ticks all the boxes of the Sustainable Development Goals. It's really a transformational opportunity which will change the livelihoods of the people, but also be very profitable for investors who come and exploit this opportunity. So it's something we're very excited about, and I'm available to have additional conversations to go into greater detail on that project after the session today. Africa, we've spoken about, is struggling in terms of logistics, getting stuff through countries, and our Eswatini rail opportunity, we are bordered with South Africa and Mozambique. We've got 2 ports there from where in Mozambique and South Africa goods are exported to the rest of the world. Rail infrastructure is something that again is going to change not just Eswatini's economy in terms of moving goods from road to rail and reducing accidents, but it's going to enhance employment, and it's going to see increased volumes moving from lines that are already seeing bottlenecks. And again, there's an opportunity here where we are seeking to grow. This is a $1.3 billion project between Eswatini and South Africa. You can come in as a partner on the Eswatini side and speak to financing and getting a return on your investment around infrastructure, around locomotives, and we can have an additional discussion on that again post this session. I'm available to share more on that. Tourism, I'll say the fact that Eswatini, you've seen, apart from being open for business, we are a green economy, we are keen on conserving our wildlife. And right now there's another sector for investors who are into eco-tourism, eco-investment, to look at the consolidation of 5 national parks in Eswatini into one. We have the big 5 there, and we are really looking at this as an opportunity to enhance our tourism footprint, but also for investors to come and see what the continent has to offer in terms of wildlife. I mentioned earlier that when you consider Eswatini vis-a-vis some of the other countries on the continent that are promoting these type of projects, you were to ask what would the difference be? Safety and peace. The airport. Eswatini has recently set up an airport, and around that new airport there's an opportunity to develop an airport precinct. We are promoting strongly cargo and the movement of cargo in Africa. Some of the bigger airports in the region have bottlenecks in terms of movement, and we are wanting to put up the various facilities, whether it be duty-free stores, whether it be agro-processing, food and manufacturing facilities, whether it be the whole import and export cargo warehouses. But we're saying again, here's an opportunity where airlines in Africa, where companies which operate in airports in Africa can consider setting up in Eswatini and being a part of the journey for the growth of this airport, which in the next 20 years is going to probably not have any more investment opportunity available. So be one of the early investors, come and talk to us about that. So we also are keen in terms of energy security to drive the issue of renewable energy. In mining, we have minerals in the country, and recently there's been a discovery around more new minerals. You're speaking coal, you're speaking copper, you're speaking various other minerals in Eswatini, diamonds, we have them. So again, come and talk to us about mining opportunities. We are keen as well in terms of moving up the value chain on commerce and research, food laboratories. I've spoken to the agro-processing opportunity, and we've spoken to tourism already. Some of the companies that operate in Eswatini are there. Some of the global brands you will see, Lactalis, you will see Rhodes Food Group, you will see Mondelez, which is the former Cadbury, you'll see Coca-Cola company there, you'll see Air Liquide, a French company. Kellogg's operates through one of their joint ventures, Toleram, and they produce noodles for the African market from Eswatini. So we are quite excited about what our country has to offer, and we think you should join these global brands. We'll be hearing a bit more later from YKK around what their experience of investing in Eswatini has been. What incentives do we offer for investors who come through to Eswatini? We offer tax concessions for a period of 10 years. We offer additional around the priority sectors that I mentioned earlier, including mining, including ICT and education. We offer incentives that speak to those sectors. We offer subsidized factory space. We offer duty-free access for your machinery and equipment. We offer allowances, tax rebates, and then SEZs that we have in the kingdom offer additional benefits over and above these if you operate from those. So in concluding, there was mention made by Ambassador Masuku around the recent investment conference we had, where we saw a lot of investors being excited about the opportunities Eswatini has to offer. We are now going to go into our version, a much smaller version of the expo, but for our region of the continent, the Eswatini International Trade Fair, where we have participation by international companies, and we'll be keen on seeing Japanese companies come and participate in our trade fair as well, especially those that are currently on the continent and also those that are considering supplying and entering the African market. We'd encourage you to come and have a conversation with us. But from a commercial perspective, these are some of the key events we use to lure investors and share with them the opportunities that Eswatini presents. And the theme for this year's trade fair is we're driving digital transformation, and we're doing that for the second time, having started this digital transformation journey last year, and we're speaking to creating business networks. We want businesses to operate in the single African continental free trade area. That would be the concluding slide, ladies and gentlemen. On that note, we thank you.
Thank you, CEO, for giving us your insights into the Eswatini business environment. Ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, I'd like to invite Honorable Matomba Malo, Minister of Commerce, Industry and Trade, to come give us his version of Eswatini.
Thank you, Fuli, Your Excellency, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, my colleagues, honorable ministers present here today, members of both houses of Parliament, our Senate and House of Assembly, the Ambassador accredited to Japan, His Excellency Menzi Labini, captains of industry present here today, representatives of Japanese companies that are here joining us today for this wonderful conference, as well as Commissioners General for the various countries that are here today, as well as public directors, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. A very good morning. My job is not going to be to repeat what somebody has just outlined very eloquently, but rather to speak from a political point of view why you should consider Eswatini as your investment destination. We consider Eswatini as a private sector friendly, as well as exports-driven economy that is fully government-enabled. That is really the positioning of Eswatini from an investment point of view. And having said that, and again, without repeating what has been said here, I just want to give you a flavor of why I believe Eswatini is the next investment powerhouse, not only for the region but for the continent of Africa. We say it's private sector led and private sector friendly because when you look at the Eswatini economy, right now the consumption sector, which we call the primary sector, contributes about 51% of our economy. Then the productive sector is dominated by manufacturing. 28% of our economy is driven by manufacturing. That means then the rest of agriculture, mining, ICT, energy, etc., only adds up to about 22% of our economy. That is both a problem and an opportunity. It's a problem because it means we still haven't developed those sectors aggressively enough. For example, agriculture still contributes about 5% of our economy, yet it's a country where, if you look at it, you would say we should be, pushing agriculture a whole lot more than we are. So what that means, though, for investors, it presents an opportunity for investors looking to invest in organic agricultural products to consider Eswatini as an example. We are very, well trained and quite capable of meeting global standards. A lot of the companies that Sylvana showed on the screen export not only to the regional market, but they export to the global market. And you're going to hear today from one of those companies that has been in Eswatini for close to 50 years, YKK Zippers, a Japanese company that actually services the globe from the country of Eswatini. And that story is replicated many times in Eswatini. We have three key advantages that I want to speak to, maybe from a political perspective. Number one, predictability. I think investors need to know that the environment that they invest in is predictable. Eswatini is very steady, very peaceful, very stable, This is as a result of the fact that we see our politics through our tradition. And His Majesty remains the symbol of only the leadership of the country, not only the leadership of the country, but as well as the unifying factor in the country. And that makes us very predictable because there isn't a lot of changes that would be fatal to business as we see in other jurisdictions over time. It is a very people-centric leadership, as well as a leadership that at the core is glorifying and accentuating this whole idea of Eswatini being a unique identity in terms of our nationality, in terms of our pride, and our traditions, our customs, our culture, and we've had more than 400 years peaceful transfer of power that has sustained this particular tradition, and we are very proud of that because in Eswatini you know what you're going to get, and it will always be steady. The second element that I'm very proud of, and all of us are proud of, is aggressive ambition. It's a country that is aggressively ambitious. His Majesty has declared that Eswatini will be a first world country, and we are working towards achieving this particular dream in the shortest possible time. I'm confident His Excellency the Prime Minister will speak more about that when he delivers his remarks, but we don't rest. We are here because we believe in being hands-on. We believe in being accessible and leading from the front in terms of achieving our own ambitions. As a country, we have put a target, double-digit growth. We are not content with the fact that in the region our growth is one of the best in terms of percentage GDP growth. We're looking at about 7.9 GDP growth this year, which will outstrip most of our peers in the region. But we are constructively discontent. We are looking for double-digit growth because we realize that if we don't hit double-digit growth for a sustained period of time, this whole idea of being a first world country will remain a pipe dream. So as a government, we are very, very ambitious. We are very, very aggressive. You will see that when we look at the government's program of action and the soon-to-be-released grand plan that His Excellency the Prime Minister is leading. It shows that we're extremely ambitious and we are not going to be doing things the way we did them yesterday. It's very nice to sit in a cabinet session where we are always talking about how we achieve this double-digit growth, and that is why shortly after we've had our successful investment conference, we are here today to say Eswatini is indeed open for business. The last point I want to make is that through His Majesty's leadership and the duties delegated to the Prime Minister, we have competent leadership. What you will see in the room is the Prime Minister of the country is here, cabinet ministers here are here, three of us, because we want to be accessible to you. After this session, we want to sit down, listen to you, speak to you, and really engage firsthand so that we can understand what you need from us. What you also have in the room is you've got members of of Parliament from both houses, Senate as well as Parliament, because we believe that our legislative framework should support our ambitions, and we work together and we truly support each other. And I think that also becomes a concern in many countries where changes in policy become quite difficult to achieve because there's sometimes a disharmony between the legislative arm of government and the executive arm of government. What you find in Eswatini is, if anything is a barrier to an investor, it quickly gets addressed, and I think one of the panelists here will speak to that because she is the chairperson of our portfolio committee in the House of Senate. We also have a private sector-minded kind of leadership in cabinet. You find that You know, when His Excellency the Prime Minister and the King make up their cabinet, they really are conscious to ensure that there's a good balance between political astuteness as well as you know, private sector leadership, because we understand that we cannot walk this journey, we cannot achieve the ambitions that we've set us for ourselves if the private sector is left behind. So with those few remarks, I just wanted to reiterate the messages we've heard this morning, both from the video and from what Sibane has said, to say we are here to support you, and at the end of this session we will be available to have a conversation about why you should continue thinking about investing in Eswatini. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Minister, for your words, and I think you're very clear in what your three points that you made, that we have predictable leadership, aggressive ambition, and I particularly liked the constructively discontent, because it accurately describes how we feel as a government, or constructively discontent. And the competent leadership speaks for itself. They are here for you to engage with at your leisure after. At this juncture, I'd like to us to again turn our attention to the screen. Honourable Minister spoke about a company that's been in Eswatini for over 50 years. YKK Zippers is a global entity with presence in over 72 countries, one of those countries being Eswatini. So I invite you to hear from a Japanese perspective what Eswatini has offered in the past and what we continue to offer today in the present. Thank you. In line with the dynamism of our nature, I'm told that YKK Zippers are actually here in person to give the testimonial, so I think that makes for an even better engagement. I'd like to invite them to the podium to make their presentation.
Honourable Prime Minister, in the interest of time, I would like to say all people observed. I stand before you to give a testimonial on behalf of YKK in doing business in Eswatini. As they have mentioned, YKK has been in Eswatini for the past 49 years, we'll be turning 50 years next year. And I'd just like to give a brief outline of what has anchored YKK to be in Eswatini for the past 50 years. Eswatini presents several advantages for establishing manufacturing plant, making it an attractive destination for both local and foreign investors. As they mentioned, we've got Eswatini as an well-educated workforce. Eswatini boasts a highly literacy rate of 8.75%, ranking it 8th among 52 countries in Africa. This educated and trainable workforce is essential for manufacturing operations, as it ensures that employees possesses the necessary skills and knowledge to contribute effectively to productive standards. The next point of interest is the competitive labor cost. As all manufacturers would know, that cost is very important in manufacturing. The wages rate in Eswatini are approximately 20% lower than those in neighboring South Africa. Providing a cost-effective labor option for manufacturers, this competitive advantage can significantly reduce overall operational costs while maintaining quality standards. The stable business environment in Eswatini, the country has been recognized as a favorable business climate ranking first in Africa for the trade across for trading across borders, according to the World Bank Ease of Doing Business Index. Additionally, Eswatini is noted for its low level of labor disputes, contributing to a stable operational environment for businesses. YKK Zippers has been in Eswatini for 50 years. We've never had any labor disputes. If and when there's any misunderstanding, we always engage with the employees. So that makes it very, very stable for operational in Eswatini. advantages in infrastructure. Despite being landlocked, Eswatini has developed a robust infrastructure system. The country features an extensive road network covering 3.5 kilometers, and a cargo-way system of 301 kilometers that connects directly to major ports such as Durban, Richards Bay in South Africa. Furthermore, the inaugural of the state-of-the-art international airport in March 2014 enhances logistic capabilities for manufacturers looking into doing exports. Generous investment, as the Minister and the CJ has mentioned, YKK has also enjoyed this, so I would like to attest to that. In fact, the government offers various incentives aimed at attracting investment. This includes the reduced corporate rate tax of 10%, as is mentioned, duty-free access to raw materials imported for production intended for export outside the SADC, the SACU. These incentives significantly lower the initial financial burden in new enterprises. The access to international markets via AGOA. Eswatini is eligible under the African Growth Opportunity Act, AGOA, which allows duty-free access to the US market for certain products. These provide local manufacturers with opportunities to expand their market reach internationally, particularly in textile and agro-processing goods. So we are currently enjoying that as a textile manufacturing company. The AGOA business market is actually expanded. The profitability of YKK in Eswatini. Supportive government policies. The Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority actively advocates for foreign investment and facilitates regular approval, creating an environment conducive to business growth. Recent strategies have been implemented to enhance trade opportunities under the initiative like the African Continental Free Trade. As it has been mentioned, we are also enjoying that as YKK, further supporting economic diversification and industrialization efforts. Strategic location, geographically positioning between South Africa and Mozambique, Eswatini benefits from the proximity of these large markets. This strategic location facilitates easier access to regional supply chain and customer base across Africa. In summary, the combination of educated workforce, competitive labor costs, stable business environment, advanced infrastructure, generous investment incentives, access to international markets through AGOA supports government policies and strategic local markets. Eswatini an attractive option for opening a manufacturing plant. So with those few words, we like to attest as YKK that we do get the support from the government and from the population at large. So we will urge our Japanese counterparts to actually come and invest in Eswatini as a final destination in operation, in investment, as it's a country that is more conducive for businesses. So with those few words, we would like to say, arigato gozaimasu. You are welcome to come to Eswatini. Thank you.
Domo arigato gozaimasu, YKK, for sharing your journey. Your success, supported by Eswatini's conducive environment, is indeed a testament that we are proud of to Eswatini's willingness for business. Collaboration is the heartbeat of this forum, and our next speakers embody that spirit. Representing JETRO, the Japanese External Trade Relation Office, we wish to welcome them to the stage as they share how we can connect with the world and together we move forward. Representative from JETRO Ministerial.
His Excellency, Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Russell Dlamini, Honorable Minister for Commerce and Industry, Mr. Mangoba Kumano, Honorable Minister of Tourism and Environmental Affairs, Ms. Jane Honda Shimere, Honorable Ambassador to Japan, Mr. Menji Shimodramani, and all these key government distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. My name is Kazuya Nakajo. I'm the Executive Vice President of JETRO. JETRO is the Japanese official organization for promoting trade and investment between Japan and the rest of the world. It is a great honor to express my heartfelt congratulations on the occasion of the National Day of the Kingdom of Eswatini. I would also like to express my sincere gratitude for the kind invitation to invite me to this great occasion of this seminar. So, this is a question to the Japanese audience. When you hear the name of Kingdom of Eswatini, what comes to your mind? So, unfortunately, I don't have a chance to visit this great country, although some of my colleagues at JETRO have an opportunity to visit Eswatini, and I asked them about their impression of the country. All of them spoke about the fruit, which is made for, which used to make a sweet liquor called Marura, which is really good. I had. Interestingly, this oil also extracted from this extracted oil also used for the skincare product. So it is great product, and Japanese, especially ladies, may like it pretty much. They also said that they are so joyful seeing the local, people pressing the fruits to extract the oil. So these things evoke the sense of the peace, tranquility, and nostalgic charm of the country, and representing the heritage of the deep culture of this country. Here at the Expo as well, the Kingdom of Eswatini captivate visitors, which with a beautiful display of the traditional craft. I just visited this exhibition booth just before this session, and it is really beautiful now with a number of the craft, and also the display of the sceneries and traditional heritage of the nation. So we understand that Eswatini is a country of great national beauty, offering a glimpse into the timeless landscape in southern Africa. So you should visit, I should visit. It's a great country to visit. So the same colleague also had a chance to visit the YKK. We have a representative here at this seminar, and they are given a kind of comprehensive tour from the delivery of materials through the production line and all the way to the shipping process. So what left lasting impression of them was the harmonious collaboration between Japanese and Eswatini staff working together in the factory. So that's a beautiful Japanese company, and that's a beautiful African people working together to create value and the product of these nations. So it was a powerful example of cross-cultural cooperation and mutual respect action. These previous speakers, honorable speakers, all mentioned about the international access of the country with these trade systems like SADU, and the others. Comesa. So now Japanese companies, those Japanese companies located in Africa is said to be around 500. It is in comparison with our presence in China, which is 20,000. In Asian nations, in Southeast Asia, is like 12,000 to 50,000. In India, around 1,500. Africa, 500. So this is because of the geographical distance differences, and also the historical commitment to the market. But this, I can say that there is a lot of room. I don't say there will be 20,000 companies in Africa, but there will be big roots for us to deploy. And now the sentiment of Japanese companies toward Africa is still high. 60% of Japanese companies in African nations have said that they are going to expand their operation in Africa. The choke point of Japanese companies is a shortage of personnel who can do the international business. Our business is now deploying all over the world, and they are working in America, they are working in Europe, they are working in Southeast Asia, they are working in China, and there are lots of business front for them. But we are not having a sufficient number of personnel who can go beyond the existing business to the more emerging arena like Africa. So the effectiveness of location is very important nowadays. So the element determining the Japanese corporate action for an investment to be one, market. The two is supply chain. Also, there's China-US issues there. So we are more focusing on the friendshore nations. So that is the third element. So I really like that the presentation the previous honorable speakers did, which is your gateway to neighboring nations, gateway to us, gateway to other places. So many of Japanese companies are suffering in other African nations. They place a factory in one country, but they cannot export from that place to the other nations. There's a kind of restrict of their border transportation or the market or the commercial right is all different in each country, each nation. So you have an advantage to bring in Japanese company to extend your market to the more in a global stage. So in our mind, how we could connect African business to Japan. So there's an, as I said, there's a geographical distances there. We have less chances to encounter the African businesses in Japan, but this year is special. So we have Expo here. We have 46 African nations exhibiting in this space, and Eswatini is one. And also, there's a big conference Tokyo International Conference on African Development, which is due hold in August, later half in August. And we already accumulated 200 Japanese companies, almost 200 Japanese companies, who is eager to deploy their business in Africa in our exhibition booth. So there's a huge exhibition area with 200 Japanese companies is exhibiting, waiting for the African leaders, business leaders, political leaders, honorable dignitaries to hunt them at that place. So we all welcome the participation of the Eswatini delegation to that TCAT meetings. And also we have already got the application from the Eswatini embassy to participate in our diplomatic booth at that site. So we all welcome your government and the embassy of Eswatini to be there at that site. So now, in closing, I sincerely hope that today's National Day celebration at the Expo, as well as the upcoming Ticket Night, will further strengthen and deepen the economic ties between our two nations through our continued effort. Connecting the world, together we move forward. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Jetro, for that powerful vision of global connectivity. And I assure you that the Commissioner General took note of the sweet fruit liquor that you talked about, and will make sure to get some to you. At this juncture, the VP also made the next, sort of started to introduce the next aspect of our program in speaking about the beauty that Eswatini holds. Eswatini is more than just a business destination. It's a land of beauty, culture, and opportunity. Let's experience this charm through the Visit Eswatini video, which showcases why our kingdom is such a magnet for tourism investment. If we can turn our eyes to the screen, ladies and gentlemen, for a short video on Eswatini's beauty.
When you choose your adventures, you do so with an open heart and a desire for the unexpected. You embark on journeys to discover new worlds full of wonder. You choose a path to awaken your senses, to feel the rush of life overwhelm you, a world to make you look up and realize just how inspiring this life can be. You ask, and we give you the royal experience. Arrive and awaken your heart. Explore life in ways only thought possible in dreams. There are but a few places on earth so special, so unique, so spectacular, where it becomes a rite of passage for the ambitious travelers, courageous souls, to all have in one of a different world, beyond the ordinary, beyond time. Discover just how far you will go to expand your understanding of life's greatest mysteries. There's just one place on this planet with so much to offer. Now is the time for you to have your Lord experience.
Thank you for the video. And isn't Eswatini breathtaking? From our vibrant markets to our stunning landscapes, this video invites us to explore its potential. Next to the beauty lies opportunity, and I could not possibly do justice to the opportunity that is linked to tourism, but I know someone who can do so. At this juncture, I'd like to invite the Honorable Minister for Tourism and Environmental Affairs, Honorable Jane Kondas Melani, who will share how tourism investments can empower communities and drive progress. Honorable Minister.
Your Excellency, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, distinguished guests, allow me, Program Director, to write on the protocol that has already been established. Mine is simple. I think you have watched the video and it said everything. So I'm only left with just a few things to add on. Before I come to the opportunities that exist under the tourism sector, allow me, Program Director, to overemphasize the fact that Eswatini is one of the monarchies left in Africa that is rich in culture, is rich in history. Our cultural events, they are throughout the year in a form of prayers, in a form of national events, in a form of arts and culture. Like last weekend, we are from Bushfire. Those are some of the events that we experience as a country. It is the only country that now and again, people in Eswatini, they just converge in one place with their head of state and enjoy each other. We sit and enjoy together as a nation. That is the only country. You'll never find this in any other country except for Eswatini. So, being a monarchy, business, the sustainability of businesses in Eswatini is guaranteed because there is that longevity, there is a follow-up on issues, and the political landscape is just stable. To add on that, even the legal environment is also conducive. So investors are invited to come to Eswatini to enjoy the real experience. So YKK has already shared the experience that they have received in Eswatini, and we have received accolades and awards from respective international organizations. The first one is Lonely Planet. In 2020, we were identified as one of the countries that could be visited. We also have travel and tourism awards. We are identified as the destination of choice. Then we have the Forbes. We have already identified us also. In 2025, we have CNN identifying the Sibebe Rock, which is one of the 30 wonders of the world, is in Eswatini. And again, in 2025, the bushfire, they also took us to the map under the BBC. So when you look at the country, we have a small country, but we have a gem. So Eswatini is a gem. Investors can come and explore and share with us their real experience, and also share and be part of the accolades that we receive as a country. Why tourism matters is that tourism in Eswatini is seen as the second source of revenue generation. And when you look at our grand plan, you see that tourism is one of the pillars under economic development. When we look at the GDP, we have 945 million contributions, that is per year, not per annum. So the 945 million, it's in Emalangeni, not in US dollars. It's in our local currency. As a country, we have a target of generating 2 billion revenue in 2027. So now that we have 945 million a year, that is 2024. Then international arrivals, it's 946,800 people coming to the country, that is last year, where we have a target of 2 million visitors by 2027. And these numbers, when you look at our statistics, they only stay in the country just for 2 nights. And our target is 5 nights per visit. So with our local people, only 30% people benefit from the direct employment from tourism, which is for every tourist, only 10 people get jobs from that particular tourist, be in the hotel industry, in shops, or wherever they are. Then we are coming to the key investment areas. We have Lubombo Big 5 Game Reserve, where we have a number of reserves merged together to come up with one, where we are promoting, we want to promote the conservation of wildlife. We also want to promote biodiversity-linked economic development. There, we are looking at a number of investments that can take part in that area. That area covers a place like 87,000 hectares of land. It is a very big forest where investors can come up with 5-star hotels. You can come up with water sports and many other activities that can be in that big game park. We also have Maloloja Golf Course that we are looking to establish under one of our game reserves called Maloloja. We are also looking at community-based tourism. Under Big 5, I've already talked about the 87 hectares of land that is being occupied by this game park, where it's a combination of ecotourism, conservation, and community-based development. This falls under the Mbongo Transfrontier Conservation Area under the SADC protocol. So we are looking at luxury accommodation, mid-range accommodation, and also community participation. This area is easily accessible to Maputo. You can stay in this part of Eswatini and go and enjoy lunch in Maputo and come back for your dinner in Eswatini. We have a number of dams that we have in Eswatini which are potential, which they provide a potential for investors. We have Mapuka Dam, we have Matsamo Lake, Sand River Dam, Lubovane Dam, Lupoto Dam, Awane Dam. All these dams are just there. They are just natural resources, untapped resources. They need investors to come and explore investment opportunities around that. You can build your holiday home around the dam. You can have your resorts around the dam. You can have your boats. You can have whatever. I cannot prescribe, but you can take advantage of these ventures in the country. We also have the ICC and the 5-star hotel. Under the ICC, we call upon public partnership for collaboration, especially in hosting of international conferences. And then under the Grand Plan, our target for 2028 is to have 700 plus 5-star rooms to be provided by the country, so investors can take that opportunity. I've talked about Lubombo big game reserves. We also have the Highveld, where we are also looking at coming up with our other activities of interest to tourists and locals. And in the Highveld, we also have, in the Shiselweni region, we are looking at providing agritourism and also wellness activities. Going back to Maloloja Game Reserve, we are looking at investors to come and put up a golf course where it will be accompanied by a club, a golf club. Golfers normally, they like high altitude places for golfing, and the climate in this conserved area is so conducive that it is always cool, especially for golfers throughout the day. You can be there throughout the day without any worries. And a golf course will not, it's an appropriate infrastructure to be in that area because it will still conserve nature. It is not going to do anything except to green it, to keep it green and keep it at its beauty state, and also provide employment to nearby communities. Under community-based tourism, Eswatini has a number of untapped nature reserved places. We have caves. Throughout the country, we have a number of caves. You find that one region has more than one cave, 2 or 3. In the Eswatini region, you have something like 3 to 4 caves. We also have waterfalls in all the regions. We have rock art where one particular mountain in the Roho region has potholes on the rock. So you can go there. People would love to see potholes, nice potholes. We also have a footprint on a mountain, and that footprint people associate it with the foot of Jesus. So we can draw tourists to come and see the Lord's foot. We also have hot springs throughout the region. We have some in Manzini. No, it's Woho. We have 2. Manzini 1, then Bombo. We have what? Don't see the other one. Hot springs. Then under investment models, we are looking at joint venture, public-private partnership for the construction of infrastructure, especially in under Big 5, in Maloloja, and in other areas, like we have the old Ngwenya mine, where we are looking at constructing a museum. That is, Ngwenya mine is one of the oldest mines in the world. It is in our country. So we are looking at public-private partnership for the construction of infrastructure. We are looking at toll generators. We need big toll operators so that they can link us with international tourists and markets. And then we have our approaches. These are our pillars for strategic investment. We want to diversify our economy, create employment, increase tourism receipts. As I've mentioned, that our target is 2 billion, so we have to increase that. We have to promote sustainable practices. We have to develop world-class tourism products and also enhance Eswatini's global visibility. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister, for what was a comprehensive outline of the opportunities, the many opportunities that are available to invest in Eswatini. I am particularly interested in the golf. I will admit to that, and I'm happy that Minister mentioned it not once but twice. So it is something that is important to her too. The next part of our program will see us go to a kind of discussion. whilst I'm preparing the stage, I would like to offer the opportunity for a bathroom break to anyone who might be willing to go to the bathroom. I think they can direct you to the bathroom on that side. But for this part of the program, I am not the best equipped. I have somebody who makes royals laugh, who will conduct our session for us. The vivacious, the incomparable Ms. Ntemba Dlamini will take over for the program for the next part. Ms. Dlamini, thank you.
I've been dying to get introduced like that. Something. Your Excellency, Ministers of the Crown, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. I will stand on the protocol that has already been established. Also, by way of special introduction, I would like to welcome our online community. Your Excellency, he just doesn't want me to shine. He doesn't want me to shine. I'd also like to welcome our online community following these proceedings online via YouTube, and to invite our online community, including those who are back home. Hi guys. It's going really well this side. So at this point, we're going to take that health break for 5 minutes, and then we're going to reconvene right here and start what I look forward to, a robust discussion. Thank you very much. 5 minutes.
Share the link. We are going to go YouTube. Okay. We're going to buy Google. Kuna buy monitor kuna
That's silent.
Hold on, Ghana excellence. It's about to see. Okay, so okay. Yeah, tagul tobe. Maybe we stand here.
If you don't mind,
Ladies and gentlemen, our 5 minutes is up. Can we please return to our Ladies and gentlemen, may I please call the room to order? Please return to your seats. You are welcome to take your seats with your coffee in your hand, and we can continue the discussion while you sip on a cup of coffee. Because His Excellency is already seated, I will continue with the program, and the rest of you can join us as we go along. I will avoid the temptation to call my minister at the back and ask him to return to his seat. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this important panel discussion focused on exploring the business and investment landscape in the Kingdom of Eswatini. Today's session brings together a dynamic group of stakeholders comprised of government representatives, private sector leaders, and members of the Eswatini diaspora who are directly engaged in shaping Eswatini's trade and economic relations, particularly with Japan, and the broader global community. Our goal is to present a comprehensive overview of Eswatini's current business environment, highlight priority sectors for investment, and showcase successful collaborations that illustrate the country's potential as a strategic trade and investment destination. I thought you were going to clap. So please allow me to introduce our panelists who will come up and take a seat as I do so. The first is Senator Lindiwe P. Ngwenya, who is a distinguished and highly engaged senator in the Kingdom of Eswatini. I can attest to that as someone who covers Parliament regularly, holding roles across key government portfolios including the Ministry of Commerce, Public Works, Labour and Social Security, Economic Planning, the Prime Minister's Office and Natural Resources. Her extensive public service is complemented by a strong background in the private sector, notably as a director of an insurance firm, and significant contributions to the agricultural sector, including service on the Central Farm Dwellers Tribunal and as a chairperson of the marketing portfolio for NAMBORD. On the international stage, Senator Ngwenya currently plays a critical role in global sustainable development efforts, serving on the Interparliamentary Union's Standing Committee on Sustainable Development, where she represents the African group. Her diverse expertise and commitment make her a vital voice in both national and international policy discussions. Senator, please come up. Our next panelist is Mr. Theo Shope, a distinguished business leader with a proven track record in investment, banking, and property management. He currently serves as chairman of the Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority, APA, where he plays a pivotal role in shaping the nation's investment landscape. Mr. Shope is also the founder and CEO of Silver Spoon Asset Management. Don't you just like the name of the company, Silver Spoon? It speaks generational wealth. A dynamic firm specializing in high-value property management portfolios. His leadership continues to drive strategic growth and operational excellence in the real estate sector. A seasoned executive, Mr. Shope previously held the position of chairman of Standard Bank Eswatini, where he provided strategic oversight during a period of significant transformation and innovation. Earlier in his career, he served as a property director for Kirsch Holdings, Swaki Group of companies, gaining deep expertise in commercial real estate and investment management. I could go on, but ladies and gentlemen, let us please clap for Mr. Theo. Our next panelist is Mr. Simon Makakula, a seasoned human resources executive with over 30 years of experience, including a distinguished tenure at YKK, a leading global manufacturer known for innovation and excellence in the industrial equipment industry. He has demonstrated success in driving strategic HR initiatives with a strong focus on talent acquisition, employee retention, benefits administration, and organizational development. At YKK, he has played a role in aligning national HR strategies with global business objectives, supporting cross-functional teams in Eswatini YKK, cultivating high performance culture grounded in YKK's core values of quality, fairness, and social responsibility. He has proven ability to transform HR functions to enhance productivity, ensure regulatory compliance, and strengthen employee management in fast-paced, multicultural environments. A trusted advisor to leadership, commitment to empowering people and building resilient, future-ready organizations. Our last but one panelist is Dr. Numiso Dlamini, a program management professional based in Tokyo, Japan, with a dynamic career spanning engineering, manufacturing, and cutting-edge robotics systems and development. Born in Mbabane, Eswatini, just 2 years after the kingdom regained its independence from the UK, Dr. Dlamini's early exposure to public service came through his mother, Louisa Busisiwe Dlamini, one of the founding nursing tutors of what is now the UNESCO Faculty of Health Sciences. Educated in Eswatini for his primary and high school, he went to earn a BSc in mechanical engineering from the University of Cape Town in South Africa. Over the course of his career, Dr. Dlamini has held engineering and management roles across a range of industries, including stainless steel manufacturing, detergents manufacturing, asset management, and energy consulting, gaining a strong foundation in automation technologies along the way. He moved to Japan 18 years ago, where he immersed himself in the culture, learned to speak Japanese, and earned a PhD in energy science from Kyoto University. His current work focuses on program management for robotic systems development, where he bridges technical innovation with strategic execution in globally oriented projects. With a career that spans continents and industries, Dr. Dlamini, and of course he's a Dlamini, Dr. Dlamini brings a unique blend of strategic leadership shaped by global perspective and deep roots in Southern Africa. His career reflects a commitment to innovation, cross-cultural collaboration, and the advancement of technology-driven solutions in complex environments. And my final panelist is Ms. Sebenzile Gininza, Research and Statistics Manager at the Eswatini Tourism Authority. Ms. Gininza is an experienced market researcher and statistician with more than 15 years experience in tourism and market research. She has been instrumental in setting up the Eswatini Tourism Authority Research and Statistics Unit, which resulted in the initial collection of data on tourism visitations and expenditures in Eswatini. Ms. Gininza has also worked on the development of a pilot tourism satellite account for Eswatini that seeks to establish economic contribution of tourism to the economy of the kingdom. In academics, Ms. Gininza possesses a BA in Economics and Statistics, an MBA in Management Strategy, and a Master's in Applied Economics, amongst other qualifications. Subsequent to earning an MBA, she authored a journal entitled Examining the Impact of Sharing Accommodation on the Hotel Occupancy Rate in the Kingdom of Eswatini. She has served as chairperson of the Research and Development Board Committee of the Regional Tourism Organization for Southern Africa for 4 years and has represented Eswatini as a speaker at various regional and international tourism summits. Gininza. And finally, our moderator is the very talented, vivacious Netemba Dlamini. Can you hear me? Beautiful stuff. Okay, so I'm going to give 5 minutes to each of my panelists, starting on my immediate left with Senator to give us her perspective on the topic that we are discussing from the legislative perspective. You may begin.
Thank you so much, Ceci. The Kingdom of Eswatini, under the visionary leadership of His Majesty the King, Mswatini III, and his government, has been very intentional in working towards attaining first for all status in the world and also positioning itself as a green economy. The Kingdom of Eswatini, realizing and appreciating the current fourth industrial revolution, has not been left behind. There's been significant progress in promulgating legislation that promotes its effective participation in the current global economy. The initiatives already mentioned by CG and the ministers are set to create a thriving trade environment and also promote job creation for both the investors and locals. The other proposed benefit is the inherent skills transfer as part of these initiatives. I must say that the Kingdom has never been this ready to do business globally, and Japan, with its adherence to ancient values of respect and integrity, is a brilliant match for the Kingdom of Eswatini. It still holds firm to its cultural practices, We are therefore open for business. The Kingdom of Eswatini has taken a growth trajectory focusing on the commercialization of certain critical crops and fresh produce in the country, especially in the rural areas, thus creating job creation without having to migrate to the city. These include sunflower, fruits, vegetables, which is conventional, and baby vegetables. Huge community land is being converted into commercial fields with irrigation infrastructure development to ensure consistency of supplies. This augments the growth that started in beef, sugar, and citrus production for export purposes. The critical factor in the country's growth trajectory is that it blends commercial private farmers and community-based schemes driven by community cooperatives. The massive irrigation infrastructure that is being put in place will also see growth of a variety of crops, including sunflower, olives, banana, and many more crops. This will ensure continuous production in the long term, as massive hectares of communal land will be under irrigation to produce yellow produce. We are a member of the WTO Observatory. We also participate in a lot of regional markets and international bodies. All these markets have firm trade guidelines and policies. Our continued participation in these markets confirms that we have policies that are aligned to regional and international trade. Further, Eswatini has positioned itself to a competitive force in attracting investments and ensuring collaborative policies. Eswatini has also prioritized trade and investment and ensures a one-stop shop in the creation and orientation of new investments in the country. APA being the body that coordinates all this. Last one. Okay. As we anticipate massive commercialization on the critical sectors, we definitely need a boost in the agro-processing industry in terms of industrial machinery, especially processing and packaging equipment. This line of growth will not only feed Eswatini, but also the commercial line, as this market growth has prioritized commercialization in the agricultural space. We as parliamentarians are elected through decentralized constituency-based Ngundla system to ensure that our communities are the most benefiting sectors in all developmental initiatives. The mode of operation, therefore, ensures that as parliamentarians, we approve laws that enshrine such a framework of community-based development.
Thank you very much, Senator. Can we please move on to Mr. Theo Shortcare, who is the board chairman of APA. You may begin. No, I just want you to do a 5-minute presentation, and then we're going to move on to the Q&A session later.
I don't know if I'm a lucky guy or I'm unlucky, because everything that I wanted to say and had jotted down to make my presentation has already been covered by the Honorable Minister for Commerce, as well as the CG in his presentation regarding Eswatini's posture and investment climate. But I'll race through it so that I don't repeat what has already been said. Basically, Eswatini's investment climate is what I'd consider dynamic and forward-looking, what the Minister of Commerce called aggressively ambitious. This is underpinned and underscored by a strategic geographic position in Southern Africa, offering a seamless access to regional markets like South Africa and Mozambique, And then it's already been spoken about. We have access to SADC, we have access to COMESA, 560 million people, but I think the big one is the ACFTA, where there's access to 1.5 billion people and a potential market value of about 3.8 trillion and growing. Our key priority areas in terms of investment are, as already listed, unfortunately, is agro-processing. Eswatini's first sugar mill was opened in 1956, which means we do big farming and commercial farming very, very well. So there's an opportunity to add value there, to value add. And then, of course, there's beef, there's horticulture, and there's citrus and other niche exports that you could get involved in. Pharmaceuticals are a big opportunity because of the ACFTA. We can leverage Eswatini's clean environment and regulatory stability there, etc., so that we can open up opportunities for pharmaceutical manufacturing. We also are net importers currently of energy, and we'd like to be net exporters of energy. Energy in particular is a good opportunity, but I think renewable energy is more of a focus opportunity within the energy space. Obviously, textiles and apparel, because of our access to AGOA and SACO and also the EU EPA, is an important one. There's opportunities in digital economy and ICT. There's also opportunities in tourism, as already mentioned by the Minister of Tourism. In terms of our incentives, as already mentioned by the CG, we have fiscal incentives that talk to tax holidays, duty-free import of capital goods, etc., investment protection through our bilateral investment treaties. We also have ease of doing business through EPA. We've just launched our one-stop shop to fast-track business registration, licensing, and aftercare services. We have our special economic zones, which offer enhanced infrastructure and streamlined regulatory support. Furthermore, we've just finished with our national investment policy, and we're working on our EPA Act, modernizing it to cut the fat, give us legal clarity, and reduce red tape. I just also wanted to make a quick comment on TCAD 9, which is, I think, happening in August, and talk about how we are aligned with the themes of TCAD, which focus on private sector-led growth, which is what we're about, green and resilient development, as well as human security. Our participation on that platform will give us the opportunity to deepen our ties with our Japanese counterparts in many sectors, but specifically renewable energy, agri-tech, smart manufacturing. So in summary, Eswatini is open for business, and so we invite Japanese partners to explore these emerging opportunities with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shoke. I always find it ironic how someone always begins by saying, they've already said everything that I wanted to say, and then they go on and make a meaningful presentation anyway. We're going to move on swiftly along to Mr. Simon Makabula, who's representing YKK Mfombeni, because you've already given a speech. If you can just sum it up for us in just 2 minutes, so that we can, in the interest of time.
Thank you. Once again, as YKK, we believe in fundamental behaviors. We believe in the cycle of goodness, which is the idea of no one prospers without rendering benefits to others. So what we do is believe in that we need to give support to others. YKK is an investor, but it's here to also give support to people. We are committed to creating value for our customers, employees, society, all what we do. Our 3 core values provide framework for carrying out these objectives, but what we do, these values mean on a daily basis. That we've got 25 fundamental behaviors that we believe in. The behaviors are as follows. Do the right things always. All the time we have to do the right thing. Demonstrating unwavering commitment to doing the right thing in every action you take and every decision you make, especially when no one is looking at you. Always tell the truth, no matter what the consequences. That's what our behavior, the first behavior. Number 2, be vigilant about safety, because it is important that whenever you leave home, you must be able to come back home. So safety is very paramount in YKK. Every position in our company has inherent dangers. How you know how to make your job as safe as possible while being aware of your changing surroundings. Never take shortcuts that compromises your safety or take your teammate. So safety is very, very paramount, as I've stated. We don't take shortcuts. Irrespective of how you roll it takes, you just have to do the right thing. Number 3, protect the environment. As we all know, the world is going green. Always remember that protecting the environment is our highest priority. Use best practices to avoid waste, reduce emission, recycle and manage hazardous waste appropriately, look at for opportunities to improve our environmental impact. As you might not aware, we already have a zipper that is recyclable. So we started our vision in 2015 and 2018. So we've got a vision already in place for 2050. So the generation that is going to come, we've been party to that journey. In 2050, the strategy is over, a new zipper in place. So already in Eswatini, we've got a zipper called natural that people are not even aware. It looks like metal, but it's actually recycled. We produce in Eswatini. High quality personnel demonstrate a passion for excellence and take pride in the quality of everything we do. Combat compliance, good and not good enough. Always ask myself, is this personal? That is what we believe in. As you might be aware, I was saying to my colleague from Japan that all Japanese have got the first name of compliance. Their second name comes after compliance. Everything that you do, you need to be compliant. So that's what we believe in, also in Eswatini, we comply with everything. So that is our first name, compliance. Embrace diversity, be curious and be inclusive. Embrace people of all backgrounds and meet perspective differences from the all. Be sensitive to the restricted differences that makes us individuals. Make a better decision when we consider multiple points of view and act as a team on the common goals. So as a diversified company, as stated, we are in 72 countries. We get all lot of people coming to working with us, so we need to be interactive and also embrace all the cultures that we have.
Thank you very much, Mthombe. Please allow me to interject. You listed that you have 25 values, and I'm looking at my time. I don't know if you have that enough time to go through all of them. Dr. Ndumiso Gamini, who's representing the diaspora of Eswatini in Japan. Because
yeah, I'm just trying to understand. Should I go through answer the question that was posed, or should I?
Just give us a brief overview, and then we're going to move on to the question section after.
I see. Brief overview, okay. So I'm the novice on stage, the least experienced in issues of government and policy, but I do have the enthusiasm. So I'm just an ordinary member of the public, and I'm based in Tokyo. So I'll give my impressions on having. As a person who's lived both in, was immersed in a childhood and spent many years in Eswatini, and also lived the past 18 years in Japan. So the main things that are probably relevant to investment and cooperation are maybe number one is after you've lived in a place like Japan, because Swaziland will be aspiring to be maybe industrialized as Japan is to be very clear on what is the purpose of the whole project when you are wanting to develop and become rich and so on. And on that issue, I've been educated by main people back home when I've gone back to visit my family and so on. My relatives who live in Eswatini. I've realized that money by itself, building an economy and having lots of money, this is very, what's the word in English, ephemeral. By itself, it doesn't have enough value. So we have to think, and I can see one promising issue is that Swaziland is holding on to its culture. But another thing that I found very impressive is that people, my friends, my Japanese friends here in Japan, many of them don't know their cousins. Okay. But in Eswatini, I know cousins who I don't know how I'm related to them, but people tell me that this might seem trivial, but it's very important when you have made your money and you think, what was the whole project about? Why did I go through all of this? So I think that it's something that Eswatini should not forget. if someone comes to you and says you must work 12 hours a day, and you'll be very rich, but you must think, what about my family? So we should balance the two. I think these days many rich countries talk about work-life balance, and I think that's very important. So I know I'm not talking purely about investment, but I think this is something that down the line it's going to become a question when the birth rates start to fall, when people are not in touch with their families, when the environment has been destroyed. This is something that we should make sure does not happen. So I think that's the most, has been the most clear message for me, having lived in Japan for some time.
Thank you, Vosi. Just for your interest, Mlangi, there was recently a robust debate in Parliament that say, hey, maybe we need some sort of family planning policy. It was a beautiful mess to watch from the press desk. Moving swiftly along to Sebenzile Giliza, who's the Research and Statistics Manager at ETA.
The mandate of the Tourism Authority is to market Eswatini as a preferred tourism destination. And with that comes two components. And the first component is that of understanding who the market is, and also to understand the demand side, the demand and supply side. So in terms of our value chain in Eswatini, in terms of the diversity of the product we have. Hence, within the Tourism Authority, we have two critical components, that is the marketing research, but also product development. Product development is essential because you want to market a product that is ready, that is market ready. And so issues of service excellence, issues of quality become critical. And so those are the key areas that we look at the authority. And we want to understand who are high-value customers, who are high-value markets, because that becomes also critical. High value in terms of the length of stay they have. And the minister spoke of that for every 10 visitors we have, they employ one person. So the longer the stay, the more sustained the jobs. So those are critical elements to look at. And another key component is in terms of the geographic spread. In Eswatini, our tourism radius is within a span of about 50 kilometers from Babani to Mazini. And essential to that from the research side is ensuring that we not only generate revenue, but we create jobs. Create jobs at the level of communities. So geographic spread becomes very critical, and this is where our community-based tourism projects come in. I think because of time, that we should contribute to that.
Thank you. We're now moving swiftly along to the Q&A session. If you have questions, please do feel free to indicate, but just like you're raising your hand. Someone, Mr. Nene, can I put you on my payroll for the next 10 minutes or so? You're going to assist me with that. You're just going to note the hands. Okay, so Sebe, what proactive measures is the ETA taking to position the country as a competitive and attractive destination for international tourism investment?
In terms of investments in tourism, like I indicated, our primary mandate is to market Eswatini, but critical to that is the products we have. And from that perspective, we have done an assessment of what products we have in enough supply in terms of our value chain and where the gaps are. And that talks to us having a tourism investment promotion framework. And that framework, we do have a part of that framework that talks to areas where we have gaps. I'll give you an example. We have an oversupply of the smaller sized establishments, accommodation establishments. The minister highlighted that there is a need to increase 5-star accommodation. But people don't come to sleep. They come to, the sleep part is the last part of the journey when you're traveling. You look for the region that you want in terms of the interest you have. So if I'm interested in Dubai, I look at the region that will provide that experience. And then I zoom into the country I want within that region. And then look at the products available. And accommodation becomes the last component of your planning. And so that the framework then looks at, we have the traveler, and this is the challenge we currently have of the 2 nights. It's an issue of product diversity. What will keep a traveler in Eswatini for a week? Generally, international visitors come to Eswatini or within our region for an average of 30 days. Now you realize that we have scope to increase that. And they normally travel cross country. So they combine a package to have South Africa, Eswatini, Mozambique, South Africa, Eswatini, big force. And so our aim is to increase the number of nights within that 30 nights or 30 days that they will come through. So the framework looks at that aspect to say what type of products. And we are also very conscious in terms of the nature of the products. And we are moving in an era of sustainability. So our focus in terms of the framework is on ecotourism and products that will sustain the livelihoods, particularly at community level. So in terms of investments, we have the Investment Promotion Authority who is the lead in terms of that. So we collaborate very closely in terms of providing or identifying where the gaps are. I think in the presentation, I'm not sure if it's the presentation for the Commissioner General, some of the products that were highlighted are those of tourism. But also we know that tourism is multi-sectoral. So you find tourism in transport, you find tourism in agriculture, you find tourism in retail. And so in infrastructure, ICT, and so it's critical that when a traveler comes, issue of access, this is where we collaborate with our colleagues, the Royal Eswatini National Corporation in terms of accessibility. We cooperate with the Ministry of Commerce in terms of road infrastructure. So accessibility to other digital frameworks, we collaborate with companies like MTN and Eswatini Mobile, yes. Because that is a key component. When a traveler comes, maybe I can highlight that one of the trends that we are now seeing, especially after COVID, is that travelers will want to combine their work and their travel. Similarly, the children now, because of the virtual experience that we have, will come even during school normal days, will be in a country, and the key component there becomes accessibility to the internet. So that is an issue for us, because if they are, they call it, well, I've forgotten the term, but it's a term that combines your travel but also working. And so those are the aspects that we are working with through APA, through the different institutions that we collaborate with. But the key thing, before you take my mic, the key thing is for us that we are very directly involved in community-based tourism. We actually have a department that looks at that aspect to identify, to assist the communities to identify unique products that can be taken to the market. We assist them to prepare the products to be ready. If there is a need for an investor in the different models that the Minister presented on, that is our function.
Thank you very much. I like what you're saying about tourism being based in the communities. His Excellency yesterday, in one of his engagements with potential investors, spoke very strongly about the importance of the ordinary Liswati on the street benefiting from these high-level meetings that we go to. It actually must translate to a currency that they can relate to. Senator, she's talking about the framework. How robust are the debates in Eswatini around creating an enabling legislative environment that allows for investors to thrive?
Thank you so much. Every time there is debate regarding our economy, it's always robust. Everyone wants to make sure that our economy is thriving. Remember, if the economy is actually in a good space, everyone will be employed. In fact, we're looking forward to us creating wealth, not just jobs. So you can imagine the type of debates that we're engaging in.
Well said. Mr. Floke, given Eswatini's strategic position in Southern Africa and its efforts to enhance the country, specifically, what are the key priority areas that the government is targeting to attract foreign direct investment and promote trade, and what incentives and or policy frameworks, yet again, are in place to support investors in these sectors?
It's something I think I've said already, and that was said earlier on. But the priority areas are, as I listed, and my favorite is energy, where we are importing close to 90% of our energy requirements, and I think our energy requirements in Eswatini are about 300 megawatts. So it's not a difficult mountain to climb. It obviously is a challenge. And with renewable energies, I think we can leapfrog technologies and get to energy self-sufficiency very quickly, and then to be net exporters. I think the other one that I like is agro processing, where, as I've already said, we do pig farming very, very well. And we've had the sugar industry for close on to 5 or 6 decades, amongst other agriculture. So we've got a very strong agricultural base, but I think we need to value add. And then in terms of there's tourism as well, and all the others, ICT, which I've spoken about. But I think in terms of frameworks and incentives for investors, we do have tax breaks, and we allow in some instances importation of capital goods without duties and others. We also allow repatriation of profits to some limited extent, obviously within the rules of the Central Bank of Eswatini, etc. So I think that's really what generally the government is doing in terms of ensuring that we are encouraging investment and giving them the right environment to thrive and prosper. I don't know if I've answered your question.
Succinctly so, thank you. Makakula, YKA is recognized globally for its innovation and expansive international footprint. I really like what you said about that renewable zipper. As a woman, that speaks to me directly. What specific factors made Eswatini an attractive destination for investment? And additionally, based on your experience establishing operations in the country, what key advice would you offer other firms considering setting up manufacturing or industrial plants in Eswatini?
Yeah, thank you, Robert. I think, as I've stated, Eswatini is personal. You've got loyal people that are working in the company. So whoever is coming, whatever you be investing in, you've got people that are educated, that are going to be able to accept and understand the processes that you'll be coming with. So that is a key advantage. The working force is highly competitive and very loyal. I mean, if you look at YKK, I've been at YKK for 28 years. There's people that have been working at YKK for 38 years, 39 years. So people are very loyal, so they will support you. So when you invest, it's not like you're investing and people are going to believe in you. So people are going to be very stable and stay working for your company. So that is what has made YKK to be so productive and be able to be achieving this milestone of 50 years that we'll be achieving also. So that personnel that we have in Eswatini are people that are very loyal and respectful, which goes well with the Japanese. Because Japanese culture revolves around respect. So our tradition and their tradition sort of enhances each other.
Thank you very much. Speaking of Japanese culture, Dr. Dlamini, as a member of the Eswatini diaspora living in Japan, what do you see as the key opportunities for strengthening bilateral relations between Eswatini and Japan, particularly in areas of trade, education, culture, and investment?
So I was lucky to begin my experience in Japan in Kyoto, which is the cultural heart of Japan. And the notable thing, one of the notable things was there's a very strong craft tradition. And as you know, there are many people in Eswatini who are involved in crafts and so on. The difference that I found in Kyoto was that people were they took their craft to a level of religion. It's a fine art, you could say. People don't just make a statue and say, okay, this looks like a person, thank you very much, can you buy it from me? But they have a process upon process, layer upon layer of procedures to make this into a work of art. And that's something, if you go to Kyoto, you will realize, if you try to buy anything, first thing you will do when you pick it up is, how did someone make this? You cannot, whereas maybe at home you can pick up something and say, oh, maybe after a few months I can learn how to do this.
But in Kyoto, you would not. You would have to ask someone, and they would take you to their workshop, and it would take maybe a while for them to explain to you how it's made. And then if you wanted to learn, it would probably take you a few years to learn how to make it to that level anyway. So that's one thing where I think people would like to express themselves in Eswatini and say, this is, I would like to paint something, I want to make a statue or something, but Kyoto, a place like Kyoto has the means, the crafts that have been brought down over thousands of years, where they say, you don't just make a statue, you don't just draw a picture. There are things that we have learned from our grandfathers, which you can do to make this a work of art, not just a picture, not just a statue. So that's one thing. The other one, which is more related to modern entertainment, is Japan is very strong in comics and animation. And those are growing industries actually. On the other side, Eswatini and African countries have stories to tell. When I was young, we told many stories. And comics and animation are a means of relating stories, very powerful. Again, the quality of the craft, of the craftsmanship, people drawing comics and making animation is very high. And there are some, there were colleges for that in Kyoto universities, university level, which actually taught people how to make manga and animation in Kyoto, for example. So, and for Japan, it's trying to, of course, grow the influence of its craft, of its artistic endowment. And for Africa, we have stories to tell, and we have young people who are eager to get involved in the global storytelling. So I think those are two areas. There are also industrial issues, but are we running out of time? We are.
Just a tad bit. If we can just.
Yeah. Okay. I'll stick to the arts and crafts. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Ngozi. In the spirit of engagement, we'll take a question from the floor. And it gives a great pleasure. I've been wanting to do this for a while also, to allow the Prime Minister, with my permission, to ask a question.
Thank you, Steve. Well, again, thank you to the participants. Earlier on, we had, I hope it was the Commissioner General from Japan, the one who spoke. He mentioned that one of the limitations to Japanese companies' investment in the country is the geographical divide between Japan and the kingdom. Not only between Eswatini and Japan, but between the whole continent, Africa and Japan. 500 companies, Japanese companies invested in Africa compared to a huge number in China and other continents. What solution would you provide, or motivation would you provide to Japanese companies to move to invest in the country, despite that geographical divide? And this is a question for all of you. Number two, I enjoyed a little bit that you personal experience, that you gave about in YKK in the country. I think what investors would like to hear, people who have not invested in the country yet, would like to have that personal experience of YKK in the country. You just recently mentioned that you worked for YKK for 28 years and others have worked for 48 years. But what are the personal experiences unique to YKK in the country? And what would you say to YKK and other investors, to YKK to expand its operations in the country? What would be your motivation, particularly that relates to your personal experience as YKK in the Kingdom of Eswatini? And I loved what you said. I felt I should go back to the private sector. When you spoke about work-life balance, and I know sometimes, you know, in the private sector, there are things that you focus more on than we do in the public sector. But as well, I mean, I could identify with what you said, but what are the positive things, again, the positive things, the strengths that you would think would make Eswatini competitive for investment compared to other African countries? What are the things that you would think would attract Japan, you know, to Eswatini, to invest in Eswatini, you know? Obviously, well-established industrialized country, that is Japan, but in terms of the markets, Japan is everywhere globally, you know. So, what would you say, having lived in both countries, should be an attraction for Japan in the country, be it cultural, be it, you know, otherwise in the country? Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. I think we'll start with the latter, just to reiterate what the Premier is saying. He's speaking about how can the diaspora bridge gaps, build networks, and foster meaningful partnerships between the two countries. I think that's for you, Dr. Hamu.
So, culturally, I lived in South Africa for a while before coming to Japan, so I understand both Eswatini and South Africa. And then I came to Japan. And one interesting thing that I found is that in many ways it was easier to adjust from having Swazi culture to adjust to Japan than to go from a South African mind to Japan. And that speaks to the attitudes that people have towards each other. You know, the respect that people assume they should show towards each other. So that culturally there's a very strong match in terms of if you walk into a shop, before you ask for anything, you greet and make a human connection before you get down to business. And here it's a very much it's part of the culture for people to acknowledge each other as human beings. So I think that's a strong factor for Eswatini. And also the fact that in Eswatini there's always a stronger, there's a factor behind the economic activity. There are deeper issues. We're talking about tradition, talking about family, how important family is, and this, and of course, it also influences the attitude that the government has towards people. So the social safety nets, some of which are explicit, some of which are implicit. For example, that the Swazi population has access to land in the rural areas. These we take for granted, but they are not the same across the world. And it has big implications in places like South Africa. The people become have a very different attitude towards each other and towards the country when they do not have this safety net. So Eswatini has this luckily, and when you have people, you are living with people who have a sense of dignity, they are able to cooperate more harmoniously and be more useful. How can I say? The issues like crime would be lower than in places where the government doesn't take as much care of the people.
Thank you, Bosi. Mr. Hlope, His Excellency asked about what more you could say to convince people to invest in Eswatini, just that to hit that home run.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, I think, fortunately for me, I have a background in logistics, and it's very difficult to overcome distance. The distance from Japan to Eswatini is never going to change. But I think what we can do to overcome it, first we need to understand why they're investing. If they're investing to access the African continental free trade area, then Eswatini is the place because we're a gateway, we're strategically located in our participants, and it gives Japanese investors access to 1.5 billion people, 3.8 trillion market. So as an example, we are aware that Japan is a big car maker, and I think the CG made a presentation and talked about how big the market is in terms of vehicles and vehicle demand in Africa. So that would be one of the things that I would talk about, to say, well, look, if you set up a car assembly plant in Eswatini as a start, that you would actually have access to this massive, massive market. But I also think one of the things that one of the words I used to use when I described Eswatini and any other similar country was landlocked. And I was persuaded by some of my colleagues to say, no, we're not landlocked, we're land-linked. So if we can do our ports, our linkages, our rail, our airports, and link them in such a way that it eases the movement of goods through Eswatini to other parts of Africa and the world, we would have done 50% of the work in terms of convincing a lot of investors, not just Japanese, to come and set up in Eswatini. I think I'll rest there.
Thank you, I love it. Land-linked. Makakula, His Excellency also asked about your personal experiences. What is it? What's that secret ingredient that has made you and YKK stay in Eswatini for 50 years now? I think it was it, 50 years.
Me personally,
But the company has been in Eswatini.
50 years, yes. So, in YKK, as I've stated before, fundamental behaviors. It's fundamental behavior number 17. They believe that it's blameless problem solving. They don't believe that they don't mention that we've made a mistake. They always believe that whatever people are good, their intentions are always good. If you make a mistake, you will learn from that mistake. The late President Yoshida said, if you give an accountant a key to lock the petty cash, and she only forgets to lock the petty cash, and the petty cash was stolen, he says you don't find this. You give him a second chance so that he does not make the same mistake. So that is what has kept us going at YKK. We are always learning from our mistakes, and we practice and make experience with that. So we are all treated equally. At YKK, if you walk in, the MD sits with us, open doors, open plan offices. You can't see that there's the MD, that is just a plug. So we are all treated equally. So we are a family, the Honorable Minister and Prime Minister. So that's what YKK believes in, that people are part of the company, hence the cycle of goodness. Nobody prospers without bringing support to other people. So that has made us to be more comfortable working with YKK. We're always looking forward to coming to YKK because even if you make a mistake, you're not always there. But instead, you give it a chance to improve on that so that you don't make a mistake twice. So the blameless problem solving, it's just what is keeping it going.
Embracing humanity to drive industry. I love it. In the exactly 2 minutes that we have remaining, we have a question from Honorable Member of Parliament. And then I'm going to allow one question from our Japanese audience, and then we bring this session to a close. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Maha from Kubuta Eswatini. Maybe it's a question or a comment, but you'll find a question from what I'm going to say. Or to whom it may concern, we grew up singing this song. There's a train that is coming from Ngwenya down to Japan. That was the song we're singing at school. And our presenter, Sichi here, made it clear that the automotive, there's a lot of space. And there's another presenter here who talked about 200 companies. I want to know maybe from Mr. Dlamini, what do we need to do to bring just one giant investor to the country that is going to be a game changer, that is going to transform the economy? Well, tourism has presented, but I'm so much interested in the automotive side. What do we need to do as a country to get one strong investor that will come and bring direct employment into the country? And lastly,
as legislators, what can we do to assist, to help that? Because this is the only thing we're looking for as a Kingdom of Eswatini. We're looking for a giant investor that will come and find space in the peaceful country which is Eswatini. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable. How do we catch the big fish, and how can Parliament support you? One last intervention.
Thank you. I am a member of Osaka Prefecture Government, and first of all, thank you so much for today's invitation, and I have a chance to ask a question. And my question is, before a presentation, the presenter mentioned business with the neighboring countries, and my question is, what do you think is the fields that Eswatini have a competitive advantage or strong points of countries like Mozambique and South Africa, like surrounded countries? Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to start with the last question. She's asking about Eswatini's competitive advantage, probably in comparison to our neighbors in the region. What actually makes Eswatini competitive? Why Eswatini and not South Africa or Mozambique? Mr. Shobin?
What makes Eswatini competitive, I think, is already been said. We have a highly literate population with peace and stability. We're very strong in terms of our culture and traditions. And in terms of crime, I think we're likely the lowest in the region. And then in terms of what Ntombe spoke about earlier, we have very little lost man hours as a result of strikes. We have a very, as you said, loyal, I don't know about loyal, but we have a very stable labor force that is highly motivated and very, very well educated. So that's what sets Eswatini apart. You know, one of the things that I wanted to mention just in terms of, and it will answer some of your concerns about you know, economic advantage or comparative advantages. When I was answering His Excellency, is one of the things that I have a dream about is we've got a new airport, shiny and new, with huge capacity. We've got a massive road that leads to it. But my dream is to have a rail that leads to that, not just for goods, so that we have a cargo depot and a cargo hangar, but also for people. Because what I think we can do is to ensure that Skupe is fully capacitated, is to ensure that we have a passenger train or passenger trains from the proximity of Mozambique and South Africa, where OR is too far and it's easier to access Skupe Airport. And that, I think, would then start stimulating the usage thereof. So I don't know if I've answered your question. We have those advantages. I don't want to trash anybody else and talk about high crime rates and instability, but we are extremely stable in terms of our political setup. Thank you very much.
Without trashing anyone, how do we catch the big fish? I think is our final one. What needs to happen? How do we catch the big fish as Eswatini?
So Honorable Mamba, you're part of the solution. We were all here as an investment delegation to Japan. I think we are looking to do exactly that, which is, you know, come here and present our best looking side to investors in Japan. We've just both spoken about the automotive industry. I think it's a huge possibility given the market access that Eswatini provides. But I think legislatively we can do more in terms of ensuring ease of business, ease of doing business in Eswatini. IPA is doing quite a lot in terms of repealing and re-enacting the IPA Act. We've put in investment policies. We've launched a one-stop shop. So I think we are doing, and we've got to do a million things, small things right, so that it gets to the point where we are a no-brainer in terms of choice for that big fish that you're dreaming of. We all dream of one, and I think it will happen, because Eswatini is exactly what we're presenting it to be. Is an excellent investment destination. It's a gateway to Africa, strategically located, very, very politically stable, highly motivated, highly literate people. And we've also got the government of Eswatini has invested a lot in infrastructure and will continue to do so very successfully. And we also have got a very sophisticated financial sector. So, it's your money is safe. We've got all the good and the big brands in terms of the banking, while linked to the global financial system, and everything is as if you are in a first world country in some aspects. So I think I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. On that really positive note, we are bringing this session to a close. Thank you very much. You can take your seat. Thank you for being
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. A round of applause for our moderators as well. Ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, with press for time, I will not rush him because he's my minister, but I will invite our Honorable Acting Minister for Foreign Affairs, Honorable Maulana Maselo, to come and invite our keynote address. Honorable Minister, please take the stage.
Thank you, Program Director. Your Excellency, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, Russell Miso Dami, Honorable Ministers of the CAR. We do have the Minister of Commerce and Trade, the Minister of Tourism and Environmental Affairs, Honorable members of Senate, members of the House of Assembly, Your Excellency, Menzi Dlamini, Eswatini's Ambassador to Japan, Makeba, distinguished representatives from Japan External Trade Organization, JETRO, valued delegates from Japan, Eswatini, and across the globe. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is with profound respect and a deep sense of privilege that I stand before you this afternoon, as we gather in this distinct assembly of high voltage dignitaries. I am truly honored to present a man whose leadership is both inspiring, transformative, a statement whose vision continues to redefine the future of the Kingdom of Eswatini. May it transform. His Excellency, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, Russell Miso Dlamini, is not only a man of exceptional integrity, but also one whose heart is with the people of Eswatini. With the people of Eswatini. His unwavering commitment to public service is reflected in every policy he champions and every initiative he drives. His Excellency believes that leadership is not merely about stewardship. It is about service, sacrifice, and the sincere pursuit of a better tomorrow for every Eswatini. Under his stewardship, Eswatini has witnessed a bold recalibration of its economic priorities. His Excellency is relentless in his pursuit of meaningful, sustainable development, not seeking for marginal gains or superficial progress, but rather calling for mega investments that will reshape the economic landscape of our nation for generations to come. He is a forward-thinking and astute politician, one who sees not only the challenges of today, but the possibilities of tomorrow. He possesses the rare ability to see beyond the horizon, to anticipate change, and to position Eswatini as a competitive player on the global stage. Most recently, His Excellency demonstrated this vision by launching the Eswatini Investment Conference at Eswatini, an event that did not only invite investment, but boldly declared Eswatini open for business, innovation, and transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinguished honor and privilege to introduce His Excellency, the Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Eswatini, a man of high standing, a leader of substance, and a beacon of national aspiration. At this point, may I respectfully invite His Excellency, the Right Honorable Prime Minister Russell Miso Dlamini, to take the center stage and
thank you very much. You may be seated. Well, thank you, Honourable Minister, for that introduction. I haven't been introduced like that in a while, but thank you very much. Colleagues, Honourable Ministers from the Kingdom of Eswatini, Your Excellency the Ambassador of Eswatini to Japan, Honourable Members of Parliament from both houses of Parliament from the Kingdom of Eswatini, and the Commissioner General for the Eswatini Pavilion, and the Commissioner Generals representing various pavilions, here representatives from the Japanese government, Vice President of JETRO, the senior government officials, captains of industry here in present, representatives of Eswatini diaspora in Japan, representatives of various businesses from Japan and from various sectors, the President and the representative of YKK Japan, from their subsidiary based in Eswatini as well, media houses from Eswatini in Japan. Ladies and gentlemen, I do feel that I feel like a giant here. My stage is a little bit, but I want to give it to you so that you can interpret.
共に働くエスワティニの閣僚の皆様、駐日エスワティニ王国大使閣下、エスワティニパビリオンコミッショナージェネラル、各国パビリオンのコミッショナージェネラル、日本貿易振興機構ジェトロ副会長をはじめとした日本政府関係機関代表、政府高官、エスワティニ産業界のリーダー、日本在住のエスワティニ出身者、日本の各業界からお越しの企業代表、YKK ジャパン社長およびエスワティニに拠点を持つ関連企業、エスワティニおよび日本のメディア関係者、そしてご列席の皆様。
Thank you for the productive sessions, really, that we have this morning, which have reinforced Eswatini's position as a premier destination for trade, investment, and partnership. As highlighted in today's dialogue, the Kingdom of Eswatini is truly open for dialogue, is truly open for business, and we are ready to deepen our collaborations with Japan and the world.
このフォーラムにおける実りある議論に対し心より感謝申し上げます。 皆様の意見交換を通じてエスワティニ王国が貿易、投資、パートナーシップの主要な拠点としての地位をさらに確立することができました。本日の対話を通じて示された通り、エスワティニ王国は真にビジネスに開かれた国であり、日本、そして世界との協力関係を一層深める準備が整っています。
Our participation in Expo 2025 goes beyond showcasing Eswatini's rich culture and heritage. Expo 2025 is a strategic platform to advance our economic agenda, boosting bilateral trade with Japan, attracting investment, and promoting tourism. The Eswatini Pavilion is not just an exhibition, it is a gateway to opportunity.
私たちの万博への参加は、エスワティニの豊かな文化や伝統を紹介することにとどまりません。これは経済戦略を推進するための重要な場であり、日本との二国間貿易の拡大、投資の誘致、観光の促進を目指しています。エスワティニパビリオンは単なる展示ではなく、未来への扉となります。
Current trade between Eswatini and Japan stands at $13.6 million US, but the balance is heavily skewed toward Japanese imports. We aim to change this by increasing exports of timber, citrus, jams, sugar, textiles, and handcrafts, particularly from women-led enterprises, leveraging Japanese generalized system of preferences. We seek preferential access for made in Eswatini products to grow this partnership equitably.
現在、エスワティニ王国と日本の貿易額は1360万米ドル規模に達していますが、その貿易収支は日本からの輸入に大きく偏っています。私たちはこの状況を改善し、木材、柑橘類、ジャム、砂糖、繊維製品、工芸品の輸出を拡大することを目指しています。特に女性主導の企業からの輸出強化に重点を置いています。また、日本の一般特権関税制度 GSP を活用し、メイドインエスワティニの製品に優遇措置を確保することで、両国の貿易関係をより公平に発展させていきたいと考えています。
Last month, we hosted the Eswatini Investment Conference, which secured over $2 billion US in investment pledges across agriculture, manufacturing, renewable energy, mining, and tourism. This overwhelming response is a testament to global confidence in Eswatini's potential. To our Japanese partners, we invite you to be part of this growth that is now a story.
先月、私たちはエスワティニ投資会議を開催し、農業、製造業、再生可能エネルギー、工業、観光業において20億米ドル超えの投資制約を獲得しました。この圧倒的な反響は、エスワティニ王国の可能性に対する国際的な信頼の証です。日本の皆様へ、この成長の物語にぜひご参加ください。
For over 50 years, YKK has thrived in Eswatini, manufacturing fasteners for regional and global markets. Their success underscores our business-friendly climate. Eswatini is your gateway to SADC, COMESA, and the 1.4 billion consumers of the African continental free trade area.
YKK は50年以上にわたりエスワティニで事業を展開し、国内および世界市場向けのファスナー製造で成功を収めてきました。この実績はエスワティニのビジネス環境の良好さを証明するものです。エスワティニは南部アフリカ開発共同体 SADC、東南部アフリカ市場共同体コメサ、そして14億人の市場規模を誇るアフリカ大陸自由貿易圏AFCFTA での重要なゲートウェイです。
The Ngwenya Iron Ore Mine was operated by Japanese firms, symbolizes our shared history. Today, we seek to revive this partnership in new frontiers, that is of artificial intelligence, technology, and mining innovation.
かつて日本企業が創業していたヌグメニャ鉄鉱山は両国の歴史的なつながりの象徴です。そして今私たちは新たな領域 AI、テクノロジー、工業のイノベーションにおいてこのパートナーシップを再興させることを目指しています。
As much as this government is implementing a bold program of action to upgrade infrastructures, streamline business processes, and achieve sustainable development goals, we welcome Japan's technical expertise to accelerate this vision, particularly in digital transformation. Eswatini has launched the Government in Your Hand application to modernize public services. Inspired by Japanese society and a 5.0 strategy, we aim to forge partnerships in new technologies that will enable us to bridge the digital divide and empower every citizen through technology.
私の政権はインフラの整備、ビジネスプロセスの効率化、そして SDGs の達成を目指す果敢な行動計画を推進しています。このビジョンの実現を加速させるために、特にデジタルトランスフォーメーションの分野で日本の卓越した技術力を歓迎いたします。エスワティニは公共サービスの近代化を目的として Government in Your Hand GIYH アプリを導入しました。これは日本のソサエティ 5.0 戦略に着想を得たものであり、私たちは新技術の分野で強固なパートナーシップを築くことを目指しています。これによりデジタル格差を解消し、すべての市民がテクノロジーを活用できる未来を実現したいと考えています。
We are grateful for Japan's long-standing support and confirm our participation in TICAD 9 in Yokohama. Beyond Expo 2025, we look forward to signing new memorandum of understanding with Japanese agencies to foster innovation, trade, and skills transfer.
日本の長年にわたる支援に深く感謝するとともに、横浜で開催されるTICAD 9への参加を正式に表明いたします。2025年万博の先を見据え、日本の各機関と新たな覚書を締結し、イノベーション、貿易、技術移転を促進することを楽しみにしています。
With Expo 2025 attracting record visitors, we invite the world to experience Eswatini's world-class hospitality, breathtaking landscapes, and vibrant cultural events. To Japan's travelers, our kingdom awaits you.
2025年万博には過去最多の来場者が訪れる見込みです。この機会に世界中の皆様にエスワティニの一流のホスピタリティ、息を飲むような自然の景観、そして活気あふれる文化イベントを体験いただきたいと考えています。日本の旅行者の皆様へ、エスワティニ王国は皆様のお越しを心よりお待ちしております。
In collaboration with our ambassador for Japan, we urge representatives of Eswatini diaspora to also take the lead in promoting the kingdom and further forge networks with potential business partners. Our diaspora in Japan, as our diaspora in Japan, we can become a bridge for trade, investment, and mutual economic growth between our countries.
駐日エスワティニ王国大使との協力のもと、日本に住むエスワティニ出身者の皆様には、王国の魅力を積極的に発信し、さらなるビジネスパートナーとのネットワークを築いていただきたいと考えています。日本のエスワティニ王国コミュニティの皆様こそが、貿易、投資、そして両国の相互経済成長をつなぐ架け橋となることができるのです。
We extend a special invitation to Japanese businesses and JETRO to explore partnerships at the Eswatini International Trade Fair 2025.
日本の企業、そしてJETROの皆様を EITF2025 に特別にご招待いたします。この機会を通じて新たなパートナーシップを築いていただければと考えています。
Indeed, the second edition of the Eswatini Investment Conference will be held in 2026, and we will share in due course the dates and other information so that you can join us as we explore investment and trade opportunities in Eswatini.
EIC の第2回開催は2026年に予定されており、日程や詳細情報については改めてご案内いたします。ぜひご参加いただき、投資と貿易の機会を共に探求しましょう。
In line with our theme, Eswatini upholds our cultural heritage and traditions and will be hosting various events. Inside dance, where we again invite visitors from Japan and other participating countries to attend.
今回のテーマに沿い、エスワティニ王国は豊かな文化遺産と伝統を守りつつ、多様なイベントを開催いたします。特にウンフランナリードダンスには、日本をはじめ各国からの参加者の皆様を再びご招待いたします。
Thank you for your meaningful engagement today. As we celebrate Eswatini's National Day, we invite all of you to join us in this joyous occasion. Together, let us forge a future of shared prosperity. Again, Eswatini is open and ready for business. I thank you.
本日、エスワティニナショナルデーを祝うにあたり、皆様にもぜひこの喜びのひとときを共にお楽しみいただきたいと思います。共に繁栄を分かち合う未来を築いていきましょう。そして改めて申し上げます。エスワティニはビジネスに開かれた国です。ありがとうございました。
May I kindly invite the Vice President from JETRO onto the stage. The Right Honourable Prime Minister's got a small token of appreciation for them.
We would like to hand over this gift and token of appreciation. These are few products that are made in Eswatini, and I think we have more that we will also be giving to you, and we hope this will be of use to you, and that others will see them and would like to get more from Eswatini. And thank you for your participation.
Thank you, Foreign Director, for this opportunity. It is often a challenge to always speak last from the experience I've had. I think I am following the most eloquent speakers that I've ever seen. And I think Honorable the Prime Minister, the best is to try and bring a position of being in English placing. Your Excellency, the Right Honourable Prime Minister, Honourable Ministers of the Crown that are here, Ambassadors that are here, Honourable MPs from both Houses of Parliament in Eswatini, Ambassadors from Japan that is also here, senior government officials from both governments, captains of industries, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, konnichiwa. I'm once again deeply honored to address this auspicious and distinguished gathering. I would like to express my humble appreciation for the keynote address by His Excellency the Right Honourable Prime Minister and the remarks by the honorable ministers, as well as the speakers during the discussions and the engagements that have already taken place in our midst. With the warm bilateral relations that exist between Eswatini and Japan, it is time that we grow our trade relations to an even greater height. Therefore, I would also like to extend an invitation to the business community, and it has been done before, to consider Eswatini as a destination of choice for expanding their investment. Eswatini is a door to Africa. Your Excellency, we are very lucky to witness and learn to survive through the trade war than the physical war that existed in the 1940s. This activates our thinking potential and capacity to remain afloat and grow economies through strong trade relationships. In closing, I would like to reiterate that the embassy in Malaysia and also responsible for Japan has a responsibility to engage and promote trade relations between Japan and Eswatini, and therefore we invite you to engage robustly with the ambassador to make sure that we provide a way so that you can go down to Eswatini and access the 1.4 billion people in the market of Africa. Thank you, arigato gozaimase. I am also, okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Right Honourable Prime Minister, this brings an end to our formal session. I'd like to invite everyone to lunch on behalf of the Right Honourable Prime Minister and the Commissioner General. I would ask that we observe a bit of decorum, allow the first row on my right to go and help themselves to a meal, and then they'll go to a holding room on the other side with the Right Honourable Prime Minister. They'll be followed by the first row in front, and then the rest of us can join. And we hope that there'll be an opportunity for some B2B and B2G engagements over lunch. Ladies and gentlemen, with those few words, I'd like to please ask our distinguished front row to lead us to lunch. Thank you.